Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Japanese Female Rock Channel, your go-to spot for everything about Japanese female rock. If I'm not mistaken, we're kicking off our fourth podcast here on the channel. And right at the start, I'd like to ask you, our awesome listener, to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share our beloved channel with others. I'm truly grateful for every one of you who's part of this community. Before we dive into today's topic, I also want to remind you that the Become a Member option is now available on the channel. By becoming a member, you unlock lots of benefits with a monthly subscription. These subscriptions start at just $1.99 for the simplest package and go up to $9.99 for VIP members. By joining, which you can cancel at any time, you're not only supporting the channel each month, but also getting unique perks like early access to videos, exclusive content, members-only polls, shoutouts in videos, and much more. So please consider becoming a member of the channel. Now let's get into today's podcast, which is none other than the interview that the band Nemophila gave to Young Guitar magazine. So to all the fans of the band, get ready, because this interview is really good. After a major turning point with the departure of a member announced after their show at the Nippon Budokan in February, Nemophila has been making waves in the scene with their new 4-member lineup. They're showing the band's resilience with a packed schedule of shows and new music. And today, November 6th, they're dropping their latest single, Beautiful Days. It's a ballad, and the group shared their thoughts on this new song. They also discussed the singles G.O.D. and Progress, which were released after the lineup change. The article even includes some special messages from the members for the fans. Mayu starts. For example, sometimes Tam brings me a phrase that I would never think of on my own, and then I see a totally new way of thinking. I think that's really interesting. Haraguchi adds, yeah, that's definitely something a drummer would do. YG asks, looking at Tam's expression, it seems like she doesn't even realize that. Yeah, right? I try to create songs that have the Nemophila way that everyone knows, but people keep saying, this really has Tam's style. Mayu adds, the world she creates is unique. It brings a great essence to the band, but Tam really loves to challenge herself. She comes up with really complicated phrases. Murata Tam asks, oh, with the drums? Mayu answers, exactly. For example, when I come up with a drum phrase and tell her, add a touch here, then Tam comes back with something like, brrr! Much more impressive. Hazuki adds, I think that's exactly it. Murata Tam adds, really? Is that so? YG asks, it seems like the drums sound more technical when she plays live. And another important moment was the start of the first solo tour with the new lineup. Nemophila One-Man Tour 2024, moving forward, those who want to bloom, join us. Mayu answers, we chose this title, Moving Forward, so I'm sure that anyone who went to the show had that same vibe. Since it was the first solo tour with the 4-member lineup, many people probably came with mixed feelings. But I really wanted to avoid them thinking it was better before. At the shows, and in everything we said, we went on stage wanting to show something different and better than before. From the vocal perspective, I feel like I can now rely on Hazuki and Haraguchi-san on the sides of the stage. But did everyone feel the same way? Hazuki continues. Speaking of the sides of the stage, now Haraguchi-san is no longer right next to me. I had the feeling like, wow, Haraguchi is far away. The physical distance is big, and sometimes I just want to have a little Haraguchi mascot right next to me. YG adds, a mascot. Exactly. Changing from the left side to the right side of the stage was quite a change. Everything I used to see and the place where I positioned myself changed, so I felt like I was at the beginning of the band again. I even found myself automatically going to the left side out of habit. YG asks, and you, Haraguchi-san, what did you think of this tour? Haraguchi-san answers, it was intense. I'd say we got more emotional. With 4 members, I think everyone felt a greater sense of responsibility for the sound and energy we transmitted. We all sweated a lot during the show, but it felt like we were shining. Hazuki adds, didn't you shine before? Haraguchi-san continues, no, we shone, but before it was a beautiful lighter shine. Now it's a shine that seems to come from within, more intense. EG asks, something like that blood, sweat, and tears feeling? Haraguchi-san answers, exactly. A more genuine, natural sweat with nothing artificial. And not just the sweat. I think this naturalness is in everything, and that gets me really excited too. And you, Tam? Murat-tam answers, in May, the four of us did our first show together at Wildside Tokyo in Shinjuku. At that point, Mayu had already conveyed to the fans what we were thinking as a band, like, we're moving forward with these four. So, I thought everyone was already aware of that. But during the final show of this tour, for now, Mayu gave another great speech, and I realized it had a huge impact. That's when I realized only those who were at Wildside Tokyo knew what we were feeling, and maybe we hadn't conveyed that message to everyone. That moment when more people found out that it would be the four of us going forward was really special. The first song of the new lineup was G.O.D. YG starts. Now I'd like to talk a bit about the songs released in this new phase. Let's start with G.O.D, released in July. It has a fast part that reminds us of Nemophila'S initial energy, but we also feel the band's new identity. Mayu responds, the main idea for the composition was mine, but we built the song together, asking each other what they wanted to do in each part. Initially, we planned to release Progress first, but during the process, we decided that G.O.D would be better suited as a kind of statement of intent from us, so we changed the release order. With the new producer, the tone of the song changed a bit, but we kept the intensity, the passion, and the shouts that characterized the band. We decided to focus more on the overall groove than on guitar solos. And even though this statement didn't have a solo, we hoped that the impact and strength of the band would come across. We wanted to include a breakdown to give that explosive, united band strength. YG adds, and that can vary depending on each song then. Mayu continues, exactly. Before, almost every song had mandatory guitar solos, but now we want to experiment with different songs, so I think starting with G.O.D was a good choice for the new phase. Hazuki continued, yes, we do what we feel like. If there's space for a solo, we'll put it in, but we also respect the song's vibe. I felt that, in this song for example, a solo wasn't necessary. Mayu continues, also, we went after a more traditional metalcore sound. I felt that Nemophila didn't exactly have a classic song in that style, so I thought a song like this would make sense. And I composed it thinking about how it could connect to our sound. YG asks, now Progress, released in September, has a modern and intense feel with a futuristic vibe coming from the use of synthesizers. And for the drums, it was quite a challenging song. Hazuki continues, but Tam herself created the drum line, you know? Murata-tam responds, yes, I was the one who created it, but Hiko came in to do the rearrangement. The introduction, for example, has his essence. With Hiko taking on the role of producer, I felt that the final impact of the drums changed a lot. This raised the level of challenge for me. We could have done something longer, but we decided to focus on a compact time, something the audience can listen to and remember. YG asks, you've already played this song live, and it adds a nice variation to the set list, doesn't it? Haraguchi-san responds, yes. It's a song that brings something new to Nemophila, so I keep thinking about how to engage the audience. Also, in Hazuki's solo, there's a whoa in the chorus, and I really want the audience to look at her and enjoy the solo. So sometimes I sing the whoa facing Hazuki. Hazuki adds, you keep looking at me. Exactly. And it's a difficult song too. Yeah, the bass line feels more like a guitar phrase. I thought, sorry, it must be hard to play that on bass, but if it's Haraguchi, it'll work out. Haraguchi-san continues. When we recorded G.O.D, Hiko was very detailed with the timing of the left hand and the muting of the right hand, as well as the tone of each note. There were several specific instructions to follow the guitar, and that continued with Progress, so I play with a lot of attention. Since Hazuki is the main composer, her style is present in every detail. Hazuki continues. There's the timing of the bend, the slide here, the pull-off there. Sorry about that. Haraguchi-san adds, not at all. It was a great learning experience. Hazuki continues. Yes, this time I didn't use my main guitar, but switched to a guitar with single coil pickups on the back, and I was very careful with the tone. I wanted to vary the tones between the guitars, thinking of a softer one on one side and a brighter one on the other. So I switched guitars as I recorded. YG asks, Haraguchi-san, How did you approach the song when playing it? Haraguchi-san responds, "For me, the impression was of a rock ballad that seems to be something rare. From the demo stage, I already thought the song was great, but Mayu commented that it's very meaningful to release this song at this moment. I really like bands and songs that can convey a person's life and way of being. And hearing Mayu's words, I thought, that's it, this song has that meaning." At that stage, I didn't know exactly that the theme was the love between mother and child, but I still wanted the song to touch people, including men, in a way that they could relate to it. That was the challenge for me. Murata-tan continues. In my case, before recording the drums, we already had a preliminary version of the lyrics. However, at that time, it wasn't defined that the theme was the love between parents and children. It was more about love in a broader sense, which made it a bit easier to visualize. I thought, what nuance should I bring to this? What does love mean to me? And as I reflected on that, I thought of my children. I believe that when you care for and love someone deeply, that love can sometimes turn into something like a painful longing. That feeling is very strong, and it was that emotion I brought to my drumming, putting a lot of energy into my performance. Recently, we also filmed the music video, and even though it was just a syncing, I felt like we all shared that emotion when we played together. And now I'm excited to perform this song live. Mayu continues. Exactly, even before worrying about whether the rhythm would match the metronome or not, what I really wanted was for everyone to feel what this song represents and play with their emotions fully exposed. YG adds, so even without much explanation, things naturally went in that direction. At the moment, the new Nemophila has already released 3 songs, and even with the lineup changes, we hope that listeners will listen without any preconceptions. Mayu continues, yes. Of course, it's great that everyone has an image of what Nemophila represents to them, and that makes us happy. But we have a very clear idea of how we want to evolve, including the atmosphere of our shows. Sound-wise, we're physically down by one person, so it's tough to recreate the dual guitar effect, and just playing a backing track isn't the answer. What we want now is to do everything we can as a 4-piece. But the journey we've taken so far is also a part of us, and I believe will continue to be the same. Some people might drift away, but that doesn't mean we're ignoring them. When we release an album or another song, if those people listen and think, nice, we hope they'll come back to see us. So that means the doors will always be open. Finally, Mayu, do you think you'll be playing guitar more often from now on? Replies, for beautiful days, I'm thinking of playing live, and if playing backing on new songs helps to boost the band vibe, I'd love to do that. Hazuki, yeah, and we're already experimenting a bit with the twin guitar style, right? For some songs, I'm even rehearsing a few short solos. Hazuki adds, and even some tapping. Continues, yes, I'm doing it. Although sometimes I end up lagging a bit behind. YG asks, by the way, why did you choose the Les Paul? Replies, for me, guitar has always meant Gibson, and especially Les Paul, but I always thought that the Les Paul was a type of guitar that only those who can really play well should have, so I just pretended not to notice it. Then an opportunity came up, and I thought, can I really use this? So, even with that thought, I'm using it now. Personally, I feel like the guitar is a bit low, but I think if I'm going to play a Les Paul, it should be even lower. So, I'm working hard to get used to this position. As for the body color, ocean blue, when I saw the different models, I simply couldn't take my eyes off of it. It was an instant choice. And that's it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed the interview and the podcast. Just a reminder, we post new videos almost every day here on the channel. Big thanks to everyone who made it to the end of this podcast. Don't forget to drop a like, share the video, check out other videos on the channel, and if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Big hugs, and catch you next time.